lead us in prayer.
Mike, I'll call it. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to do the topic, and also appreciate the fact that he's asked me well ahead of time. If you're new and you're going to start to chair meetings, think enough of your meeting to ask topic leaders ahead of time instead of springing it on somebody, because that shows that you care. And if you're a topic leader, try to put some preparation into your topic. Don't just say, let me tell you what my day was like today, because lives are at stake in here. This is just something that I picked up over the years. When I heard the talk in the beginning of the meeting, it was "We're not saints," and I just happened to be watching the news the last couple of days, and there was somebody in town, and there was a big bunch of news coverage, and evidently he made somebody a saint after the fact recently, and it got me to thinking about that when I heard how it works, and it talks about we're not saints, and I got to thinking about it's probably a good thing, because you know what you have to be a saint? You have to be dead. That's a fact. You have to be voted a saint by the church after you're dead. So the good thing that we're not a saint is meaning we still have a chance. And that's the topic that I wanted to talk about, is go in a more positive vein, in that we still have a chance. We're not saints. We still have a chance. And I wanted to go first to page 21, the good, and then I want to end up with Yale to jail. I'll tell you what I mean. Page 21 has a lot of good stuff about us. When I talk about we still have a chance, a lot of times, we come in here, I'm new in recovery, I have a series of failures, I don't know if I have what it takes, and then I come to a few meetings and I hear people droning on and on about how they messed up their lives and these war stories, and I'm just going, man, give me a bullet now, I mean, even early on I didn't like that kind of talk, but I certainly don't now, because I believe in giving us something to live up to rather than something to live down to. It's time to change the MO. And 21 is one of those pages that if I'm not careful, I'll read it and all I'll hear is the bad. Because that's the page where it talks about the real alcoholic. Here's the guy that's been puzzling you. He's more or less always insanely drunk. And the meeting ends up being, when somebody reads page 21, everybody tells their war stories. But I took a real close look at page 21 and I discovered something. There's more good on that page about us than bad. And I pulled all the good out and put it on one of my little notes apps on my phone. And I have it in my phone here. Page 21, the good is, he may be one of the finest fellows in the world. He has a positive genius. I like that one. He is often perfectly sensible and well-balanced concerning everything except liquor. I like that one too. And I look back at some of my history, and there was some manageability, especially when I was focusing on what I needed to be focused on. But when I get off into that other stuff and get driven by that, that's when stuff starts falling apart. And it talks about it here. It talks about he often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. My experience has been is that alcoholics may be in different fields, but I've seen alcoholics have special skills and abilities in many different areas. One person might be good at this, one person might be good at this, but my experience has been is that when I put my mind to something, I can outwork most folks around me. Those people out there, those normal people that we think have the advantage, I tend to think that once the alcohol problem is solved, that we have the advantage, because at least we have some steps to live by. They don't have that. This is a total script flip on the old ideas about we're broken. Just because I'm an addict or an alcoholic, I've got this scarlet letter on my head that means I'm broken and supposed to want to drink and can't think, and everything I touch turns to shit. That's bullshit. But it doesn't become bullshit just by me saying, oh, it must be bullshit. My life has to bear it out. After I get sober, I have to do things that prove to me it's bullshit. Otherwise, I've got this thought in the back of my mind, maybe it's true. And what I have spent is my lifetime in recovery proving these things that I'm saying about special skills and abilities. abilities to do things that many people can't. The ability to stick to something that we focus on, like I focused on drugs and alcohol, and accomplish something in recovery where nobody can take it away. That's things that have true value, that nobody can take it away. He uses these gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself. I tell you, that's very true for me. Using these gifts, I think, is true. Just knowing that I have them, that's one thing. But I think this program talks about taking this thing I have and putting it into use. I think the 12 steps says practicing these principles in all my affairs. It's one thing to have the principles, but if I don't practice them, what good is it? It's one thing to become recovered and work the steps and be free from alcohol and drugs and be able to buy my own pork chop, right? But it's another, and to keep it to myself and not share it with anybody, but it's another to share it with people, right? Share those stories from the past of failures and most importantly, successes, to show newcomers that this can be done, because I know how they once felt, because I felt the same way when I got here. This is a series of successes in here, not a series of failures. And when I begin to build that past in recovery that proves that, that's when my belief has turned to faith, because I have faith in the process now. I see that it has worked. Another part of our book talks about in employers, there are 2 alcoholic employees who produce as much as 5 normal salesmen. That's what I was talking about a while ago. I have found, my experience has been that when we put our mind to things, we can outwork most folks around. As a matter of fact, I worked myself out of a job. I made everybody around me look so bad, they got the boss to fire me. You can believe that or not, but I'm telling you it's the truth. When I'm a CPA over at HealthSouth, and I've got 107 tax returns I've got to do to roll up into the 800 tax return corporate entity, and we've got 15 other people in there, and they're sitting there with 10 and 11 and 12 each, and I end up with 107 because I'm spending enough time there and focusing on what I'm doing to be able to get all these extra returns to get shit done through first review. Let me tell you something. They don't like that shit. The boss may like it, but the other inmates don't like that shit. I'm just going to tell you. And you know what I'm talking about. We have abilities. Another part of the book, it talks about, isn't he fast thinking and imaginative? I believe that. The thing about it is I needed a program to help me focus that fast thinking in a proper direction. Not be driven by future events appearing real, FEAR. Base everything and recover. That's what I'm about today. The next thing I want to talk about that leads right into this, from this, is Yale to Jail. Because what we're talking about is this detente that we have in here. And I talked about how we all come from different walks of life. Our book talks about we're people who wouldn't ordinarily mix. We talked about somebody who came in town that got a lot of news coverage. Maybe it has a religious connotation, maybe it doesn't. But the thing about it is that we may come from different walks of life, but we have what's called a detente in here. We suspend all of those things that may make us different out there. Religion, politics. We suspend all that when we come in here, and that's called a detente. That's what they call that. And the ability to suspend that and have that detente in here and focus on what we need to focus on for this hour. Because when we walk back out, we may resume our differences in our minds, those differences that we could sit in here and argue about, we wouldn't get nothing done. But we suspend those things because we come in here for a common purpose. Because we know that unless we get this problem fixed, none of those others can be dealt with. On 161, it talks about, this is Yale to Jail, no one has been too discredited or has sunk too low to be welcomed cordially if he means business. And I'll come back to if he means business. And this is what I'm talking about. Social distinctions, petty rivalries, and jealousies. These are laughed out of countenance. That means they're pushed aside for this time being. Being wrecked in the same vessel, being restored and united under one God, with hearts and minds attuned to the welfare of others, the things which mattered so much to some people no longer signify much to them, how could they? And that's what I'm talking about. We suspend all that other stuff, these petty rivalries. We come in here because we know we have this common purpose. We come in here hoping to hear something that can lift me up, not break me down. Something that can give me enough strength to live the other 23 hours a day when the detente is suspended and life, the battle of life goes on with all this going on out there. And the reason I wanted to do this topic is because, I saw a lot of broken people this past weekend. They may not have thought they were broken. I went down to the Valley of the Shadow of Death. I walked down Bourbon Street this weekend. Just so I could go down there and tag myself on Facebook, mind you. There was no other social redeeming value for my ass to be in the middle of that debauchery. But I happened to be 50 miles away because I had to speak in Biloxi, and I think, fuck it, I'm going down there. And then I went down there, I got me some pictures, I got me some gratitude, and then I went to a meeting and washed that shit off of me. But see, I'm not kidding myself about values. I've been around long enough to know how to play this game. I can go see some things, okay, cool. But I know the center of my wagon wheel is AA in this program. Otherwise, all that other shit overtakes me. Otherwise, all that negativity overtakes me. Otherwise, all that positive attitude that this program has given me can be washed away in one foul, terrible idea. And that's why I like to come to these meetings, because they help keep me sane. And I'm going to prove to you many people in here are sane as I'm sitting here. I know it because I'm going to tell you the definition. I don't believe the lie that I can drink or use without harm. And drinking and using looks about as appealing to me as Drano. And if that's how you feel this moment, God has restored your sanity. The real trick is keeping that sanity as I go through the march of my life. That's when I need God in this program, because it's easy to do it in here. So there's a lot of sane people in here. I just proved it. I talked about all the positive things about us. There's no argument. We know this. These steps and God and getting around the right people help me maintain that attitude and give me enough gratitude for this way of life that I say to myself, I think I'll do it one more day. Because I'm not willing to give it up. There's been too much happen. There's been too much good for me to throw it away. So today I want this to be about positive. I want this to be about not the differences, but the similarities. And not the similarities of failure. The similarities of success. The similarities of what can be done. Because I see a lot of people that don't know if they have what it takes. And I'm here to tell you there ain't no doubt. Because if I can do this thing, anybody in here can do it. We should be meeting in Legion Field. I claim that we're going to be meeting in Legion Field next year. I've had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, and I'll pass.